Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's episode of the Gym Owners Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Stone. Over there is John Fairbanks. How you doing, John?
Hello, Tyler.
If you're watching the video, we're coming in horizontal today on
Oh,
accident
no.
because we forgot to change it, and I don't think we can do it in real time, so we're okay. Nobody watches, everybody listens. Thank you for listening. If you are listening to the show, make sure you follow us on Instagram. The show is at the Gym Owners Podcast on Instagram. Go to gymownersrevolution.com if you want to work with us directly. Follow John at jbanksfl. You can follow me at Tyler F. and Stone. That's Tyler EFF I and Stone. Guys, let's get right into the shit. Gyms be closing. It's happening. Gyms are shutting down. This is still, I'd love to see the statistics. We're dealing with kind of anecdotal numbers from markets that we have, gyms that we partner with, or markets that we work directly in. And we're just seeing a continuous kind of like gyms are still continuing to fall off. I don't know if they're being beaten or if they're giving up. I still believe a lot of this it's 4 years later. It's pretty tough to continue to blame this stuff on COVID, but I still believe that a lot of that stuff, depending on your market, if you were shut down for a year, it's very difficult to crawl back from that. There's debt, there's burnout, there's second jobs that had to be picked up. I think a lot of that stuff plays a factor, but it's happening. It's happening where we're at. It's happening where you're at. I don't believe it's an indication of like a major trend that like the industry is fucked or anything like that. Do you, John?
No, because you all made it, right? Like it's one of those things where like if you made it through COVID, there were so many that didn't.
Yeah.
Right. They said that it was like you have a massive percentage of people that have lost their gyms because of COVID. And if you've made it, you at least got through that hump.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's not an indicator of like anything that's new.
And I do think there's a big issue though in regards to gyms that have failed to implement the cornerstone principle that we always apply to everything, which is customer experience, client results, right? Gyms that fail to do that, fail to put that first, tend to like run out of market share pretty quickly. Like you can come in, you can pop, you can churn and burn, but once people have came to your gym and chose to leave, they will not come to your place next. It's very rare that your place is the next place that they go. Very likely they're going to go to the next place. If they liked your place or the vibe your place had at all, they're probably just going to go someplace near them that's similar enough. And then when that doesn't work, they tend to find a different type of gym, or they'll try a different type of fitness. The lifetime fitness journey is something we talk about a lot on the show, but I think it's very real. And I think it's very important for gym owners to understand that you can't just drop the ball on that, especially franchise gyms, because I see a lot of franchise gyms doing a lot of low effort shit, putting very little effort into acquiring new clients, just existing in the space and having a brand. And that will only get you so far for so long. At the very least, it is not I've seen gyms like that settle into a pocket where they can produce some revenue, they can stay open, things are going to be okay. It is not a recipe for growth. And unfortunately in business, if you are not growing, you are actively dying. And there are sharks circling the waters here. There are new players coming in. There's new players in every market. It's going to be in the functional fitness space. There's new ones in the franchise, large global gym. There's new ones breaking into new markets all the time. If your market is not competitive, it's fucking going to be. And I think that most gyms that have made it for a long time kind of settle in and kind of rest on their laurels. And I think that's a huge mistake. So we've seen very often in these gyms that are closing a few things that are in common. And most of them are not very service oriented first.
Yep.
That's a big one. Gyms that go under are not building a team. They're not really making the most out of the revenue that they can get from each staff member. Very often these businesses that struggle are the types of businesses that they just run. Right? They just pop open. They just run. They run like the, what was that really trendy frozen yogurt shit that popped up? Like cherry berry, orange leaf, right? Those, They had like a 2-year run. Like this town here, we got like 2 or 3 joints like that in like a year. Absolutely indistinguishable from one another. It was all done. It was money by numbers. And that's fine. But it's strictly business by numbers. You're never going to go in there and go, damn, I really connected to that place. No, you just connected to sugar and then you got on and out the door. There was nothing endearing about that business model. It was as lean and just pure profit driven as possible, until the fact was there was nothing connecting you to that business model. So people stopped fucking going. It just wasn't interesting or compelling enough to keep people involved.
Well, we're a small town, and staying on the ice cream and frozen yogurt thing. There was 2 frozen yogurt places that have opened in the last decade. They both have closed.
Yeah.
Because there was already established a kick-ass ice cream places that everybody already liked and has been around for 50 years. And guess what? Nobody wants your shitty frozen yogurt if they can go get custard over down the street.
And like I've said this before, all yogurt or all ice cream is the same. There's no such thing as a good ice cream place. Like anyone who tells you that is, John, don't start ranting about this. I know you're going to disagree with me here.
I have a different angle. I have a different angle.
But there is no such thing as good ice cream or bad ice cream store. There can be bad service or whatever. But the fact is, every like old, like 40-year-old ice cream place in every town that you live in that everybody's just in love with, it's only based on like memory and nostalgia and the fact that fucking sugar syrup and shit tastes awesome. Candy, like it's just that. I've never ever gone to an ice cream place and be like, boy, this is fucked up. I've also never ever had great ice cream. It's always within like a 15% margin of error of being the exact same thing. It's all the same.
And this actually, surprisingly, this takes us in the direction we want to go anyway, which is you're right. Ice cream is ice cream is ice cream. But the reason why places stick around it's because of all the other things. So the ice cream joint that's been around for 40 or 50 years, they have the right location. They're right across from the school or whatever it's going to be. And that becomes now a meeting hub. So just like you said, it's when graduation is over, everybody goes to the ice cream place. When the band concert's over, we all meet there after the football game. So all of a sudden it becomes a pillar of building a natural community because you were in the right place.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is where boutique gyms, and those are the ones that are most at risk. Because every statistic that's out there, not only are we seeing, Tyler, anecdotally from the folks that we have followed that are in the networks for us generally, or 2 or 3 degrees away from us that we've seen closing, why we want to do the episode, but even the statistics are showing that boutique gyms and these small gyms that were the antithesis of LA Fitness, 24-hour, right, large Planet Fitness, these large chains, they're the most at risk of closing because of the fact that you really have to do all those other intangible things well, because you can't just be fitnessing the way everybody else is fitnessing.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, a gym is a gym is a gym. Like if you're looking at it really the way regular humans look at it is this a place that I can work out?
That's a piece of the psychology that I think Stuart Brower has talked about at length. Give him a follow on Insta, on Facebook and shit too. He puts out some pretty good stuff. Probably our direct competitor, but he talks about often their unique, your unique fitness proposition. What is that? Yeah. CrossFit had one. And after that became well aware enough, people knew whether they were right or wrong, whether the methodology was being done correctly or not, whether it was dangerous or not, whatever it was, it had an edge. People knew it was different. And that is a thing that I do think is important. You either need to be very personality driven, right? Mm-hmm. Or you're going to really need to define what it is you do that's anything different than anyone else. And if you don't, fuck, you better start building a team. You better start really driving for client results, because you can overcome that. I think if you are just a personal trainer, that's fucking fantastic. If you're a personal trainer, gets a small studio, and starts bringing some staff in, and you end up with a kind of a hybrid model, I think that fucking works. That everybody has their own different thing. But then what is your thing? It's not about CrossFit then. It's not about Soul Cycle. It's not about Nike's treadmill fucking treadmill studios or whatever. It's not about that. Your thing is X, right? It is weight loss. It is let's help guide you towards getting fit. Then your thing needs to completely pivot and not be about the methodology, your unique fitness proposition. It's about what are you trying to accomplish? We can help you do that. And then that needs to really be the centerpiece of everything. And I see so many gyms, like they kind of like dwell in the middle of all of it, but they never really do any of those things externally. And it starts to, there's no identity at all. And then the identity is just, well, I'm the person. Mm-hmm. Well, you better be real fucking interesting. And unfortunately, a lot aren't. I mean, just generally, like you're gonna have to literally get into the world of like constantly vlogging and like constantly putting videos out and like that's a whole thing. And after a while, that can be tiresome to someone who's just worried about getting results, is they don't want to deal with. I don't want to deal with a fucking personality every time I go anywhere, right? It's not a thing that I want to do out of every aspect of my business. I don't. If I'm gonna buy cars, it's tough for me to buy cars from somebody who like now is like wants to be a super car selling influencer. It's like, motherfucker, can I just get my car? Right. And so I do think that that is important. Sometimes also, I think the reason that these boutique gyms struggle is there's like a never all the way in, never all the way out aspect to the way these boutique gyms kind of work. If you're a one-off and
Sure.
you're not really taking it, they don't, how do I phrase this? It's not taking all that fucking seriously. And I'm going to sound whatever. It's like most boutique stores. Boutique gyms are a lot like most boutique stores. It's somebody who doesn't need the fucking money, who's not really going all in on it, and they're just kind of doing a thing so that my wife can have something to do or whatever. And it's like, then this business just loses money forever until the husband's tired of paying for the loss. But there's 75 boutiques in every small town, little boutique stores, and they all kind of do the same thing, and most of them kind of do nothing. None of them are probably all that profitable, and it's just like a little fun pet project. You know what I mean? It's the fitness. A lot of these boutique gyms are the fitness equivalent of some kids like mowing lawns in the summer business, which is like, it's not really real. You just post on Facebook and mow 2 lawns a week, but whatever, we'll let it fly. But I think a lot of it is there's never really a full commitment to making this work. And I don't believe you have to burn the boats. I also don't believe you have to be all out of money when you get running your gym, but it should fucking matter. And when we see big gyms close, it's because it didn't fucking matter to the gym owner. And when we see small gyms close, it meant that usually kind of either stopped mattering a long time ago, or it, you started to care too late about the rest of it. And go ahead.
Well, how often have we talked to gym owners of small operations that either have been in business a couple years or in the beginning, and very quickly we realize, oh, you don't need any money. So if you don't need any money, right? Like hold on, wait a second. Like it's fundamentally what you're doing doesn't make any sense. And that's why you're not growing. And so why aren't you changing like some of these basic things? You could just change these things. Like these are we do one-on-one conversations all the times with gyms. So if a gym owner reaches out and wants to touch base with us, we want to be able to get a feel for, all right, where are you at right now? And we are having that first conversation with literally no sales implication tied to it, because we don't want to do business with you.
Yeah.
Right. So there's that tweak, right? You need to understand that, like, from our perspective, it's not everybody is ready to want to be able to start working with us. And we especially don't want to be working with everybody. So that first conversation we have,
thing that we do with the one-on-one personal training clients I work with. It's like, are you ready? Are you really about this? No, then don't. I got to fucking look at you. I got to talk to you. I have to put energy into this. I'd love to commoditize this. Say, yes, you get X leads for X dollars in X days, X members, what plus Y. Like I can turn this into fucking math, but that's not like math isn't going to solve like just a simple one single variable commoditized equation. Like if these gyms could just put no money down and get members, every one of these gyms that's closing and no risk, and they never spend any money out of pocket, like all of the marketing that's directed at gym owners, if that was really viable, none of these gyms would close. That's the thing that they should all do before they go tits up, right? Oh, fuck. Well, if I could get 100 members in 30 days, though, and I don't have to pay any money out of pocket, boy, that really would save the ship, wouldn't it? Why wouldn't you do it, right? If it's literally sink or swim at that moment. But that stuff doesn't fucking work. And it's too little too late. And you've already exhausted your market. And there's a lot of other reasons at play there, but that is one of those situations where what we do is not that, because that doesn't work. Okay, you and I aren't going to come in and go, yeah, we'll just get you more members. We'll help you tighten up a lot of things that will get you more members. But you have to fix you, right? I don't get to come in when I have a weight loss client and say, I'm going to take a fucking knife and I am just going to carve those love handles right off of you. It's going to be over in no time. You don't got to do shit. That's wonderful, but it doesn't work that way for me, as I'm not a surgeon. So for me, I need them to do things. I need them to change. I need their habits to change, their behaviors to change. It's the same thing with the gym. Your gym is much like the human body. It's an ecosystem. What's not fucking working, right? I see gyms that don't grow. I see gyms that sit back, that don't spend any effort in marketing, like none. It's like, just try something. I don't know. You should try something. It just seems like there's a minimum effective dose in there where like you could fucking get the most out of the least instead of choosing to do nothing. It's a huge problem. I see a lot. I see gyms that then just run a placeholder shit out there too. That's like, well, it's a little too low effort. I see gyms that have fucking been around for a long time and have less than 10 fucking Google reviews.
Right.
It's been low effort for a long time. And when I see gyms close, I look at it and I go, what the fuck? Well, no shit. And I don't believe that it's like something tragic that happened to the gym owner at that point either. I think the gym owners wanted this to close for a while. And I said this during COVID. I said, there's a lot of gym owners who have been looking for an out, that they realize this isn't for them. Maybe coaching isn't for them, or maybe the coaching is for them and being responsible for the whole business isn't. And as soon as COVID made things a little hard, that was like their perfect excuse to get on out. And it really was a gift, which, by the way, take it. For those of you who are watching, if you're not in it, like you feel it in your heart, you're like, fuck, I tried this. I thought I was, then go. Please go and go find something that you're going to enjoy. I'm not going to talk every gym owner into making their gym a success. I'm not going to reluctantly convince a client to lose weight. I'm not going to fucking convince you to reluctantly make your gym profitable. What a fucking fight uphill that would be for me.
Well, because if you want it more, then the person that you're working with, we know exactly how that works from a client's perspective when we're working with somebody. It's, if I want you to lose weight more than you want to lose weight, this won't work. One, it'll drive me insane and I'll hate it. But you feel that out in the initial, like in those initial interviews, as you are working with someone, you're getting ready to sell them. If you're doing it the right way, you can identify what their actual goals are. Because that's what when we're sitting with that first initial contact with a gym owner, it's like, do you act like, what are you doing currently? Well, not, usually it's nothing or whatever it is they've been doing, just like you said, the bare minimum. But it's like, well, it's clear through every action that you're taking, you really don't have an interest in being able to make more money. And that's where you look at somebody being like, well, what are you trying right now? Like, what are you wanting to do? What type of effort have you put into it? And if it's nothing, then it's like, okay, well, then you're not there yet. Like, you've got to at least take a couple of steps. And this is why nutrition, what's the number one thing you do with anybody that's interested in working with you for nutrition? And you kind of are starting to smell that they're not super interested, or they might be bullshitting.
Yeah. One of the first things we would do is I'd tell me what you're eating first, right?
Right.
Make people track for a while. Just track for a week. Let me know what's going on. I don't normally drop that on people if I feel like they're ready to change. But if someone just is like having a passing conversation about me, that feels like they're like, I'm thinking about maybe getting to the gym sometime. Like they're just spouting off. Perfect. Well, if you want this, you want to work with, I'd like to have you help me with my food. Okay. Well, here's an app, log this stuff just for a week, enter your stuff in, and nobody ever does it. And it's just an easy way for me to not have to tell them no. And then they can carry that burden. And again, I'm not here to ruthlessly sell anybody on anything. That's the whole point too, is a lot of these gyms I think that are closing either have done nothing for sales or done lots of the worst shit for sales. We talked that complacency is the thing that I think is really frustrating though, is that if it was enough, or it's it's not quite enough, but it's not enough to make you have to do something else, or you got a second job. John, we work with gym owners who have other jobs. Absolutely. And there's no desire for them to transition back over. The other job's really cush, great benefits, takes care of their family. What am I supposed to do? The gym can still grow and it still be great. They just have to be less hands-on. But in my opinion, if you're not looking at your numbers right now as a gym owner, your revenue, your personal earnings are the same thing, in my opinion, as well. Is if you're not thinking at all about how can I double my income, the fuck are you doing? Like, you should always be trying to identify, like, all right, where's my 2x at? If I make this much, I'm just going to be in here so I can make 1.3% more next year than next year. A lot of gyms don't even do that. But like, I think your gym, if you are the driving force behind the success of your gym, you should go, all right, how do we grow next year? What does that look like? What are my opportunities? Mm-hmm. What did we do wrong last year? What do we need to shore up? How much money am I leaving on the table by making mistakes, or by doing certain things poorly, or by not executing on new projects, or just not staffing? When we talked with Dylan, was that last week? We talked with Dylan, one of our Gear Academy coaches or Gear Academy gym owners, and he said very early on that he was like, I was maxed out. I got to here. I had my own studio. I had a couple people coming in. I was like, I now can't make any more money. So I have to now, what is next? What is next? And a lot of gym owners, and I think this is where businesses get stuck, is they go, here I am. That's it. There is no what is next. There is no where are we going next. There's no this is good. Can it be great? I mean, if Starbucks stopped at fucking one coffee shop location, is that their coffee's not probably going to be any better? It's still probably going to be the same shit. But like, think now of how much that growth model is taken on by someone having just a little bit of fucking ambition. And I see a lot of gym owners that lack ambition. They're fitnessers. And that's kind of what gets them into it. And they just kind of want to be a gym person, or even worse, ones that aren't even gym people. And then you're just dealing with an investment and an operations and an asset. That's even worse. Those people can ride a loss a lot further than a lot of you guys can too. Or they can just skid without a bunch of growth for a very long time. But I think it's really, really important for you guys to be a little bit ambitious, be bold. This is it's not us that got Dylan from being in a studio to getting to his next spot, to opening, to having a 24-hour access, to bringing on 4 or 5. We were there for parts of it, bringing on 3, 4, 5 new coaches, to now getting to the point where revenue's there, money's there, membership interest is there, reputation is there, to where they're going to build a giant, huge, enormous facility next. We did not do that for him. We were just a piece while he was being very fucking ambitious and wanting to grow and develop and wanting to have an impact in his community. He could have settled in his little studio. He could have just charged twice as much money. That was his other growth plan, by the way, you guys, in the beginning. If he was not going to, the only other way for him to earn more money, instead of doing more business, building a team, growing his like overall fitness presence, the other way he could double his money is just charge all of his members. He currently has twice as much money. But that's, you start running out of room there. You start running out of room. So his ambition got him there. Then you need to make the right decisions, partner with the right people, make all the right moves in the meantime. But if you don't have that desire, what the fuck? Do you think it's just going to happen? John, I've never seen, it's probably happened, but I've never really seen anybody go from like 400 pounds to 200 pounds on accident. Like, oh shit. What did I do the last couple of years? I didn't really change hardly anything. This was great. And in a business, I see so many gym owners go, oh, I'm just gonna keep doing the same exact thing that I'm doing. And it's just, it'll probably do better. Even worse is to assume that it's even going to stay the same if you keep your inputs the same. Is nuts. It will always decline. And I think it's a real shame. But hiring is, I think, another aspect of this where I think a lot of gym owners fuck up. I think a lot of gym owners make the biggest mistake is thinking that hiring is a financial investment. And it can be, right? You can bring somebody on. Dylan did early on and never did since, by the way, never did since.
Right. Sure.
Hiring is not about spending. It doesn't necessarily mean I have to now spend money and invest in this person. You can maybe invest some time and you're going to invest some opportunities. But I still believe kind of in bringing people on to coach, to be personal trainers. You have a cut arrangement with them. You can market for them. They need to market themselves as well. You can market to your members. You can also market externally. They need to market externally. And if they start getting lots of people drawn in, any hour that they're working, they're getting paid for by the work that they're doing, by the fact that that's a bigger ticket product. So this is that person, if they are actually coaching, that's a fucking absolute profit machine. Meaning that does kind of sit as like the key to you doing this in regards to personal training, right? In regards to personal training, you need to, if they're in and they're on the floor and they're coaching, perfect. That doesn't cost you any money. That's free money to you. That's the easiest shit in the world. Now, if you think you got to hire someone and they got to sit on ass for 48 hours for 6, 8, 10 weeks, like, well, yes, that's going to be real hard, but that doesn't seem like a very good use of anyone's fucking time.
Because you're lacking ambition.
Yes.
Because a hiring.
And that coach lacks ambition. That coach is immediately they're going to have a void in the one thing that they really need to be successful in this industry. They need to get reps coaching people. They need to care. They need to get success, and they need to want to do the work. They need to actually want to be coaching, because that is where they make money. And so if you hire coaches and staff and they're not coaching, we're just losing money. You're just losing money on that person. That person is a loss, and it's going to take a long, we're not in an industry where we can come in and just eat our hat on a new hire for 6 months and hope that they get good. Because getting good is what? It's getting clients. It's getting good. If you're working and you're not fucking it up, you're making good money off of every hour they're working. And then guess what? When they're not coaching, they can fuck off and go somewhere else. They can go to their day job. I do believe people need to start with a little bit of a short leash here. And I think that gives them the perfect ability where you can start to grow and be identifying people, be making money while you're identifying new people for you to maybe move from part-time to full-time, or start to fill their schedule so that you can pull the plug on their day job and bring them in. By the way, a lot of these coaches don't need it, don't want it. It's an awesome second job. What a great side hustle for someone to come in and take home 50, 60, 70 bucks an hour.
One of the most costly things you can do as a gym owner is that you try to do things on your own for too long.
Yeah.
It's the most expensive option. And I guarantee you a lot of these boutique gyms, those are solopreneurs or husband-wife teams. I'd be willing to fucking guarantee it, because without that ambition to grow or to be focused on the business the way you're supposed to be focused on it, you cannot as a gym owner, because this is so common when we talk with folks. I was just talking to a gym owner yesterday about it, where it's this idea where it's you have someone that's new that's coming onto your staff. You want to put them in a position to be successful and take load off your shoulders and your plate so you can step back and then work on the business, not so you can step back and fuck off every day at noon and go home. Like that is the misconception, which is if you're going to bring staff on, they need to be able to feed themselves. They need to be able to run the business, and they need to free up your time. Because that's what's like, I just don't have enough time. I don't have enough time as the gym owner. And yeah, because you're doing all the things. And because you're doing all those things, you never have your ambition. You're empty. Your cup is full. Your energy is full at 100% every single day. And it gets drained to the point to where you never make time for the business. You never make time to do all the things that only you are going to do. And because you're burning it out on your clients. And that's not what it means to be a business owner.
Yeah.
Like you're no longer just a coach. And that's why we definitely have clients that are not gym owners, because it's no, don't go if you be a gym owner. DJ talked about it the most succinctly of this idea where it's like, I have no desire to run a business like this.
Yeah.
I want to coach people. This is what I want to do. And then I live in that pocket for 20 years.
Yep. And then your space is just a fucking just a simple expense. It's probably your solitary expense unless you're spending on marketing, so I think that's always an interesting play. I think that people need to understand that difference is that, like, you're not just here to coach more. Now you're in the helm of a larger system here. Now, a couple of things too. Obviously, a business that is just hyper profitable is not going to go under, even if the gym owner's too busy or doesn't want it, right?
Sure.
That business now is valuable, either can be bought in, partnered in, or can be, when you have the resources, you can get work done without you having to do it. So when there is revenue trouble, one of the things we see is gym owners are just not flexible in fixing that issue. Now, obviously, the inflow of new members is one thing. The other thing is just, what if your pricing model's fucked?
Yeah.
Sometimes John, how many gym owners do we talk to? What percentage do you know set their price like just arbitrarily in their head because it just felt like a number that they thought would be okay to tell people? I bet it's 3/4.
75% for sure.
There's gyms I know right now. There's gyms I work with directly who, like, when I ask them why they charge what they charge, it's like, oh, because we just kind of have. Why don't you raise the price?
Because they do.
Everything else goes up. Why don't you raise the price?
Okay. No, we don't want to do that.
But then you start having problems, or you're not able to, like, upgrade things in a good way, or you're not able to market. You don't have the time, resources to, like, actually grow your system. You're either putting too much in your pocket, or you're not fucking, you don't have your eye on the goddamn prize here, which is like, let's be honest, McDonald's has tripled in price in the last 15 years. And there's gyms that I know that haven't raised the price in 15 years. The fuck?
And obviously, because McDonald's has raised their prices, Tyler, they've obviously lost massive portions, right, of the community, and they're struggling.
I just went through this too. You and I were talking about this yesterday. I just read this deal, and it was that obviously everyone's mad. It's like a running meme that, like, people are like, I don't even go to McDonald's anymore. It's fucking $8.50 for a Big Mac. Used to be $3. Where's my $1 McChickens? And guys, I'm with you. If they still had a true dollar menu, you'd catch me at McDonald's once or twice a year. You would. Because I'd do it. I'd go in and I'd get 10 fucking sandwiches and a bottle of ketchup, and I'd just go home and get high and go off. That's what I do. I'd love to do that, but I
Yeah.
refuse to do it at $3 or $4 for one of those sandwiches. It's fucking just insane to me. There's no way. So
But here's the shitty math, Tyler, and this is the shitty math.
yeah,
If it used to be $1 and now it's 8, that means you can have an eighth of the people show up.
exactly. And so what they've decided on is McDonald's is saying that, well, this is what we've seen is, there's a big problem. We're not serving these what's the word? Low, it's low income, or they basically just said, we're not doing a good job making products for the poors. Right. So the poors feel like they've been neglected by McDonald's and they're mad. And you'd think that would be bad for their PR. Because by the way, no one is thinking that McDonald's, because they charge $8, that the burger's worth $8. It just is what it charges. But there's people that don't care. They still want the convenience and the same damn sandwich, and they'll pay $8. Because of this, it's kind of looking like McDonald's, if they make any play to try to maybe fight that perception, it's like a PR game more than anything else. And they're going to still continue to prioritize, keep the ticket prices high, keep the menu simple, and they are A-okay with much less drive-through and foot traffic because, guys, McDonald's more expensive. Everybody, I think, hates them more now than ever, right? It's still junk food, still has the same junk food reputation, and now it's expensive. It's a straight-up comedy meme at this point, right? Mm-hmm. McDonald's is more profitable quarter for quarter than they've ever been, ever. Stock prices are higher right now than they've ever been, ever. And I know this because I have family that invested in McDonald's way a long time ago. Things are looking good for them. Okay. They are not fucking worried at all. And the fact is, double your price and you do half as much business, you think, oh, it's the same amount of money. It's not only the same amount of money, it's the same amount of money and half the work. Now, when you want to start to automate systems, it's way less stress on your systems. So if you're a gym owner, you're stressed out, you're having a hard time. God, I got to sell so many people in. It's really tough. What if every sale was twice as impactful? What if your prices what if it was double? Or what if you gave them opportunities to spend more money and maybe they chose? What if it's a combination of those things? And next thing you know, you're averaging maybe like 60, 70% more per transaction that you're doing. All of a sudden, that fucking rules. And it's not more work because getting more members, getting 100 more members is not going to fucking help. Getting 100 more members is, if you're already stressed and money's tight and time is tight, like, what is that going to do? Like, really, what is 100 more members in your business in the grand scheme of things? Like, especially if it's going to be a high churn play like this, it's like, boy, I would really like to have some things in place where I can make the most out of those opportunities for me, for my business, for their ability to choose good products, as well as for their ability to have success in their endeavor so that they fucking stay. And so that it allows me something to stand on while I build my reputation up, right? If I just get 100 members, sell them into the cheapest shit ever, and they're gone in 45 days, what fucking good does that do me? None. Absolutely none. So I think not being flexible in the business model, not being willing to make changes, or at least not making decisions based on fucking information. There's a lot of gym owners that make decisions based on feelings. And like, we're talking like pricing and product and hiring decisions and shit. And like, I'm all about trusting your gut. But you gotta fucking have some wins with trusting your gut before you just let that lead the way. Like, there's a lot of people out there that maybe shouldn't be making decisions just grabbing pricing out of thin air. There's a little bit of market research, do a little ask around, at least do some comparisons. Go ahead and compare to everything else that's in your area. See where you land. Like, spend 2 hours deciding your price and do a little bit of just your own research if you need to. But that's worth doing. Like, sit down and spend 2 hours, write it down. Say, what do I do that's different than them? What do I want to be perceived as? Where do I fit in this? How does any of this work within your market, your physical market? I think that's important to do. Like I said before, we set ours at 50% more than the next gym, than the other CrossFit gym in our place. And if their prices went up, ours would go up to match. I'd just always be that. And I would let that speak for itself.
Don't be confused, right? If you're listening or watching, don't be confused. This isn't a recommendation to just raise your prices blindly. No. Because I'd be willing to, where for you, Tyler, for you guys compared to the other CrossFit spot in town, how much better of a product did you have?
3 times at least. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like that's where a lot of people will be like, "Oh, well, you guys are just saying like raise prices and
That's a
surprise,
good
surprise, then you make more
that's
money." Well, go
that's
fuck
a
yourself.
really good point. Here's the real difference. And I believe truly it was 3 times better. We were results focused. We had stability in our coaching staff. We weren't fucking underneath the umbrella of like a fucking YMCA like our main competitor was, which is just churn and burning, hiring morons, terrible programming, all of this stuff, right?
Right.
And so I knew we were 3 times probably better. The problem is imparting that information and value on a new client is very difficult. There is a line.
Mhm.
There's a line where I feel like at this point, I know that this is good. This is very easy increase in the perceived value. If I start to be double, people just go, oh Christ. You guys ever try to buy cheap shit on Amazon every once in a while? You do this, right? Like whether
Absolutely.
it's a kitchen appliance or like a fucking God, one of the dumbest things I do this, I've done this constantly, is I buy pots and pans like at fucking Walmart. And
Mhm.
I buy like the cheapest shit. It sucks. And I buy one at a time and I'm fierce. Like, it's fucking $20. What the hell? And it makes me mad. But
Mhm.
then I hate it, and I hate it within 2 days, and I use it for fucking 10 years. And it sucks and it makes me miserable the whole time. And if I would just ever spend $200 on a nice pan,
Cast iron pan.
I got
Yeah.
one, but I got a glass top stove. It's not that great.
Oh, they
So
suck. Yeah.
don't fucking preach to me with your homestead and shit, John. I'm fucking covering my bases here. But the that but I find that like, yeah, but to get me to spend $200 when I just know I can spend 15, there is a line in buying psychology where you do cross that. So I did see there was a Equinox is offering like a super high end thing. Did you see that?
No, not yet.
They're offering like and I think just like their Manhattan office or some shit, like a $3,000 a month membership that doesn't include the membership. So it's more like $40,000 for the year.
Mm.
And it comes with like crazy like biometric scans, blood work, and all this stuff in like a fully comprehensive plan. And there's sciencey shit on there that I can't imagine is really all that relevant or worth the time. And are they doing those blood draws every month? You know what I mean? Like, god damn, like some of these people just are bored. I don't know. Are they taking drugs? Like, I don't understand why you need that much data, but it's great. They're constantly, but it's just a thing where we're gonna keep heavy eyes on this constantly for a year, and they're just gonna try to, I think, develop some of those technological processes so that actually eventually they flesh this out. Now there can be more affordable versions of that type of stuff that can kind of trickle down to other systems. So it's building from the top down your services from just, we've talked about this before, from the most expensive, highest level of service you could possibly imagine offering. Well, if someone pays you just an astronomical amount of money, you can do pretty good at anything, right? I don't know. I'm no good at washing cars or detailing cars, but if you paid me $20,000 to detail your car this weekend, John, boy,
I
I'd hire
promise
out some
you.
good help. We'd get
Yep.
it figured out, and I'd still make out a-okay. I wouldn't be as profitable as I could be if I did it DIY'd it myself, but it wouldn't be as good. So I think that it's an interesting concept that they're running, but I think it's valuable. Anyone who buys that is choosing to have a good experience because they could go and choose to have a much cheaper experience. And that's what I did by setting my prices higher than the next guy. That's
Right.
part of that thing. It's like, well, if you're choosing to find the cheapest functional fitness gym in town, you're already making the wrong decisions based on the wrong things, and I don't give a shit to help you. Like, if that's your factor, we're gonna struggle because you're not choosing to appreciate the things that we do better. You're only choosing to appreciate the price, and then I don't care. This is going to be a failed relationship if you come in and we're cheap and we do it better, but you're not going to appreciate it because you only appreciate cheap.
Correct.
It's a lose-lose situation for the most part. And I can come in and really over deliver, but John, I don't want to fucking over deliver for no goddamn money.
You
So
won't.
you just
Psychologically, you won't.
choose not to. By the way, yeah,
Right.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, even if you're not making a truly conscious choice, it's like if you're worried about bills, if you're worried about payroll, like if you're worried about money, that is going to dominate and therefore make what you choose when it comes to upgrading your spot, what type of equipment you buy, different things that you're going to do. Well, no, like we can't throw an event because then I'm going to have to buy people. Like if you're cutting hair, if you're so tight that you're squeaking, then it's really hard to run a business. Like there is an element of like to make it good, smell good, feel good, all those things. It takes time and effort and money.
Yeah.
And if you're just so worried about those fundamental pieces, it is that slow decline of what we talked about, of all the reasons why a spot will close. But
Yeah.
there's opportunity. Every time that the spot is closing, there's opportunity for those of you that are not closing your doors in your community. So you're seeing competitors that are closing, or if you are someone that's part of that dreamer class still, you're a coach, you're thinking about it, you want to get out of the spot you're in, you're thinking about wanting to become a gym owner one day. Every time someone closes, there's a unique opportunity for you to take advantage.
Well, and that is, I think, let's segue into that, right? Gyms are going belly up. Some are going to do it in your area. Definitely within driving distance of, I see sale auctions for gyms in 2 of the biggest markets around us here. There's probably been like 3 or 4 in the last year.
For sure.
And like nice equipment, by the way. You start to wonder why they. So here's the deal: you start to wonder why they went up, it went belly up. You're like, man, you spent a lot of fucking money before you got good at anything else. Spent a lot of money on equipment, and good for you if you had the resources. But for you guys that are looking at opening, if you're kind of like considering it, that's a great opportunity to get equipment. You don't need to have the fucking brand new sales stickers on everything when you put it in. People don't give a shit. And in a gym, I don't know if you guys know this, shit gets used and it's not always the most taken care of ever. So I'm not saying your gym's got to be a shithole, but like having equipment that's been in a gym for a few years is just fine if you decided, you know. And what a tremendous way to save money. I bought all new equipment when we did our gym. There just wasn't any other options. There just wasn't. But I bought all of it. And it fucking sucked. It was really expensive. It was still before material costs were way, way, way up. So I know it's harder now. I know it's absolutely more difficult now to equip a gym. So if you're thinking of going the boutique route or the studio route or a smaller scale, depending on your branding, I think finding a closing gym, or even better, a distressed property altogether, like whether it's the equipment or the whole thing, because very rarely is a location the reason a gym goes belly up. I don't think it could be a financial arrangement on that location, but if it's in a location that's near people, you're fine, right? It's if it's way out of the way, that does suck. Don't take any part in it. But a fully distressed business, I would just buy it where it sits, and I would completely rebrand it on my own, and then it would still look and feel like an absolutely new business. We would do very different things, but that's a way to start your business for pennies on the dollar. So we always talk about there's the sharks in the water, the vultures are coming to pick the bones clean. Yeah, you can be the shark, you can be the vulture. That's okay. Like the motherfuckers eat. So like there's nothing wrong with identifying that as an opportunity where if you're a year out from opening, I'd be keeping a real good eye on that stuff, at least for some of the basics. Like listen, steel weights, nobody gives a fuck if they're new. Bars, you can get a good chance on them, like benches, racks, stuff like that is, if it's quality stuff, is nearly invincible. So nearly indestructible. I would definitely recommend that route. That's a great opportunity that happens when gyms are closing in your area. The other one is their fucking members.
For sure.
Go get them. Like, go get them.
And if you haven't been a prick in your community and you haven't just shit all over everybody publicly or whatever your competitors are, a lot of times, because we've seen this now a couple times where a gym is closing and they have a partnership that's been put into place with another competing gym. And the whole idea is that we want our people to be taken care of. For whatever reason why that gym owner is deciding to step away, can't run the business anymore, whatever it's going to be, and no one's going to come buy it. This is also like, you got to understand, if you're a dreamer and you're looking to get in, I would much rather take a distressed building and start my own thing with equipment, right, than try to take on someone else's brand. Because that's oftentimes where people will get way too emotionally attached to, well, these are my people and this is my brand and I want to do this and I don't want to see it die. So are you willing to take on the lease? Are you willing to take on the brand, take on my people? And it's like, you got to be really strategic with that.
In regards to that, like a business that's going, like, there's nothing worth buying in a business that's not equipment. There's just not, right? There's very little in a fitness business. There's just very little that's worth buying. So John, if you're if John's Fitness Center down the street is closing and you obviously are going off to do something else, whether you're moving or making a career change, like if I come in, I'm sure you'd love to sell me that business for $250,000
Sure.
for the, you know, the brand. And then you can have the equipment that's worth 15,000. And then, you know, we're good. You get to cash out. People in this industry and kind of in a few others too, like get very delusional about the value of their brand. There's a boutique store in town here. Like I said, of the 25 that are open that don't produce any money, that I know their rent is like fucking like $6,000 a month. I never see or know of anyone who's done any business there. I coach right across the street from this place. I laugh at it every time because it's just one of those, like, I'm certain just some rich farmer's wife's pet projects where she can do put pallet projects with cursive paint on them or whatever, that type of bullshit, right?
And he has a tax write-off.
That was good. That business was not going under. That business was for sale, John. That business was for sale for $250,000. Do you know what that included? It did not include any of the inventory. Inventory at the date of when the closing happens will then be assessed and then added to it, whatever inventory is on the shelf. Okay. It does not include the building, but you are obligated to the lease, which is whatever. And so they want $250,000 for the name. And I couldn't even tell you the name offhand. I don't fucking know because it's all some small, faraway font, like all these boutique
cursive and shitty,
small cursive bullshit. Like everything's, oh my God. You ever want to get me fired up? It's these fucking businesses. They make me crazy. And there's actually one in town that I do really, really, really like what they do. And they do things so far and away differently and better than everyone else. It would be a great case study of what this is like when it's done right versus what the fuck all this other shit is. There's the originator, then there's the imitators. There's a lot of pretenders that are just, I'm going to pretend to be I don't want to come off sexist, but it's like fake ass girl boss shit that makes me crazy. And it's like, oh, you're just losing money every month, huh? Where'd you get that money? And so it's really frustrating for me, but this is $250,000 for the name of a business that nobody knows, nobody goes to, nobody fucking wants. So of course nobody fucking bought it. Nobody's interested in this at all. If you're going to get into that business, slap a new name on it. Who gives a shit? You think you think the people that own that building aren't going to let you take over that lease when they go under anyways? You trust me, come in and start paying, you'll be fine. Inventory, well, you still got to pay for it. So you'd have to pay for that no matter what. So
right,
just know that in your gym, especially in a service business too, which is whether it's coaching, restaurants, honestly, even in contracting, service contracting stuff, is you couldn't borrow any money to fund this purchase at all. It would not happen because they're going to assess the biggest risk to this business is whatever current valuation is that the owner is the business. The owner is what's keeping the clients there. And so once the owner is out of the equation, like, well, I can go anywhere else. So I wouldn't want to buy John's Fitness Center for $250,000 to get $20,000 worth of equipment. And then all your members can choose to leave
because you're not John.
I'm not John. And so I think it's very important. Don't play those games. You just don't want it. Now, would I buy the gym and the building as it sits and rebrand it and I'd give you $20,000 for it. And I'm not interested in your name or your brand or really any of your members. I'll extend them a great offer if you want to, a great introductory offer. I'll even lock in a price. Like that's how I would play such a thing. But let's say now, even though let's say John's Fitness Center is going out of business and I'm already in a location, I don't need any of your equipment. Maybe I buy some of it, whatever, but you're going up, you're going away. This is a situation we're dealing with here locally as well with one of the gyms that we work with is their number one competitor in their industry. And this is all very small businesses is going away. The people are moving. So all their members are ours, kind of, or they're going to stop doing what they're doing. This is
martial arts. Other game in town.
Yeah, this is martial arts. So it's not like you can just like go get a garage gym on your own. Like you need to be taught by someone. You need training partners and all this stuff. So when they decide to go away, what are we going to do? Right. So we started assessing what our opportunities really are. And so I'll walk you guys through this process real quick, which is the first one is, God, we could extend an offer where it's like a discount. Well, there's some thin ice to walk on here. One, they've talked a lot of shit about the competitors over the years, publicly a little bit, but very much like directly to their members and behind stuff. So it's not a situation where until they make an absolute formal announcement that we could never put an offer to them that they would give to their members. Because part of me likes to kind of thinks that they'd rather all their members stop training than ever have them come to us, which is nuts to me.
Right.
But that's like, there's a level of pettiness there that
Petty.
you can smell it on them. You can smell it on them. And so in that case, we need to preserve our reputation. We need to not involve ourselves in their failure, right? So we have had their members, when they're finding out, even though they're not doing a very good job making it public, they're all finding out like behind their back, and they're pissed about it because they're just telling everybody everything's fine, and they're closing in 2 weeks. And so their members are reaching out to us and ready to get started. Well, absolutely, you guys are all more than welcome. Please tell everybody there that that's what we're telling them. Come try the class free. But the question is, John, should we discount? Should we offer a discounted offer? I said, no, I don't think so. Why? Because it's going to be a headache. Classes are going to be inundated. The other thing is it's not going to entice them. They don't have anywhere else to go. Now, if this was a fitness situation, it would be a little bit different, right? I'd offer them half off for a couple months to come in and give it a try. Goodwill, get them in, get them comfortable with our people, our vibe. That would be great. But in this case, we already also charge less than they do. So there's no way we're just going to take it. It's going to be what it is. And we're not going to chase too hard, because if they're not going to sign off on, they're not going to endorse, hey, we respect these guys, because they're afraid of us.
Right.
We're better at it than them. So they have to talk the shit to make it work. So because of this, now we're like not able to really be like forward about it, because I don't want to be reaching out to their members, but anyone who comes in, we make sure we tell them to tell everybody there that please come check it out. We don't want you guys to stop training. That would fucking suck. Because if we went belly up, we would all be there. It wouldn't be about, it's about the thing we're trying to do. It's not about the personalities involved or anything like that. And I think that's the real ground when you have tight, like close markets like that, where it's like there's only maybe one or two like direct competitors that directly compete with you. When they get up and go away, you got to tread a little lightly. You got to be careful, because I just don't want controversy out of this thing. We'll get what we get. We're going to be very available. We have all of our gym members are brought up to speed about the issue, so that they know when these people come in, like, we want them to feel welcome. Because if this was the other way around and we went over there and they're all motherfucking us, it's like, oh, damn it, So I think that's really important. There's
a good point that you brought up, which is the idea that price can act as a pressure control.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's important for any of you at any point, to where if there's times or seasons or as you are moving where you don't have, let's ignore the fact that this example that you gave is that you're cheaper than the competitor that's closing.
Yeah.
But the fact is, if you look at your business foundationally, we actually can't handle if every one of their members came here.
Yeah.
So we can't handle the load. And since we can't handle the load, we cannot offer a discount, because then that puts us the most at risk.
Yeah.
This is where you have to be practical. And again, if things were being done a different way that allowed that you had the staffing, you had the ability to scale it up, you had those things, then you can just turn that lever, offer a discounted rate for a certain period of time, take advantage of it, and just get 3/4 of the people, but you'll break your shit if you're not ready.
And here's another factor in this issue, by the way. You mentioned that we were cheaper, right? And that is true, but it's been a bit coming where we're trying to raise prices. Price raise is coming. It's not I work with this business. I do not make all the calls, right? So price raises needed to come for a long time, especially when revenue's been tight. It's like, hey, just raise your prices. Owners have been a little bit resistant to raise the prices, because you got to raise prices. It's going to be on existing members. You're not getting a big influx of new people. So a $30 a month price raise is not going to move the needle if you're only getting 2 new members a month. Right. So you just got to apply that all the way across the board. And some people are going to be are going to be unhappy. Nobody's happy about having to pay more. That's never going to happen. But the issue, John, now is I had to, and I thought good and hard about this. This was one of the calls we were on the other day is, do we raise the price right now for everybody, for our people, for their people, right? But the reality is there's been a couple weeks of them knowing our prices, seeing our prices. We put our prices out front, like on our marketing and on our website stuff. So there's not, I think it would be fine for this business to make this practical decision, but that's where we're deciding to earn the goodwill is by not doing that. Because as soon as they went under, if we just raised our prices and then they all came
Right.
over, that's now a thing where we're not earning their trust. We're not, and so trying to be good guys about it. It's not all about being good guys, but I'm guessing now what we're going to do is we're going to honor this pricing for at least 6 months before
Sure.
we need to get into the price raise. And that'll be something that we talk about anyways. They'll all be happy that the price is lower. I want you to inform them that that is temporary, and that's fine. And that way there still is a perceived value. They are still paying, they're coming over and paying less, and they know we are doing them a bit of a solid. But that's the flow. Like there's a big long spectrum in here on what you can do. You can be ruthless. Part of me, I like the idea. If you got one competitor in your town, like I'm all about growing the pie so we all can share more pie. But it's kind of fucking nice to absolutely crush your competitor, to truly shut them down and run them out of town. That
So let's
fucking
see
there's
a visceral.
it's nice. It's nice.
Yeah. Yeah. The catharsis of knowing, and especially because it's so much sweeter because they were shit.
They were cunty.
They were so cunty about it the whole time. And you're like, fuck you guys. Like this will be our last steak, like right in the chest.
Exact quote that they were telling people about the other place. Well, they just like started in some garage over there. It's like, yeah, we're the first ones here. And when the fuck how were we supposed to start doing jujitsu? So you started with the guy that knew the most and you started training in his garage. You're in fucking South Dakota.
Right.
So what? I got to hang a picture of Helio Gracie on the wall and bow to it until what? Like what legitimacy does that give you? And it's also like, come over and fight us, pussies. Let's go. Like, what are you fucking, you know what I mean? Let's go. This is a thing. Yes, this is a thing. We're all doing this thing.
We
Let's
do this. Yeah.
We can do this. If it's so much better, we can all just fight. Like we're all training to fight. Like we're down. Like don't be such a Sally about it. Don't be cunty talking shit. Like put it on the mat. Let's go. And actually, we're not like confrontational. We've gone to seminars that they've hosted because we encourage our people to cross train, and they're the opposite. They tell other people not to. So it's been all the red flags over there. We're just trying to be good guys over here. But
yeah.
And
now let's say they're not.
Win.
Yeah, we do like that. If the situation isn't that somebody's closing and they were cunty bastards the entire time, the one thing that we have talked about, which is an idea that came off when we saw another gym that was closing, where they were giving a discounted rate. Right? They were giving that discounted rate to those members to come over. They were actually going to honor, because the existing gym was more expensive, so they were going to honor the previous gym's rate.
They called it a membership transfer, which that is a partnership that you're going to negotiate with the closing gym. And I think that's a viable thing to reach out and do. I think that's super valuable because whatever revenue they are currently making, whether it's not enough to cover their nut or to keep them in the game, it's all yours if you can have it, if you can negotiate that deal. And there's a few levers you can pull with that too, which is like, God, if I'm an owner, my business is going belly up and I'm going to shut the door. God, if I could just get maybe a month or two after I'm gone, if I could get like half of that revenue, even better. You know what I mean? Like, so there's a way you can kick back some of that for the people that are going to, like, yes, I'll tell you what, I'll put my stamp. If I'm the closing business, I'll put my stamp on this partnership. You give me half of the revenue from the membership transfer for the first 2 months and I'm out the door. That way I got a couple months. It's like my severance package. It's a better deal than they're going to get if all these people just walk. And just know that this becomes a situation where both parties don't have like full, intense, shitty leverage. It's a true like relationship, partnership. We all got to be feel good about this.
And it's like, well, wait a second. Why the fuck would I do that? And it's like, well, because you just were given the exclusive. And in exchange for that, they're going to do it on social media. They're going to talk about it. They're going to pump it through their email. They're going to pump it in person. And you essentially just created one of the most badass referral programs that you ever could have created.
Yeah. With somebody that has people who need a gym, who have a gym that don't have a gym anymore. Like, what the fuck? Instead of trying to convince people to get off the couch, you're like, oh, all of you that are already going to do fitness, perfect. You can't go there anymore. Come here. It's a great, so that play I think was really solid. And I think that is, again, there's factors that go into how do you approach a closing gym situation, whether you're trying to get members, property, or equipment. Like, how the relationship went, how they are, what they're like, what they're going to be like. By the way, what if their members are like fucking pissed and they're, you know what I mean? Everybody's going out. The reason they're going under is because they suck and everybody hates them and they're worn out, they're welcome and all this stuff. Like,
Sure.
maybe you don't want their stamp.
Right.
There's also value in that. If nobody's going to negotiate that deal, it's all yours, kind of. And you don't have to give any money away, and you can flip them 2 birds as they leave town. You do whatever you need to do.
But do you know how you know all these things? Because it goes back to this larger thing that we always talk about, which is this concept of the ecosystem. So the ecosystem that you've created that's inside of your towns, in your communities, it's, are you networking? Are you getting out into the community? Are you speaking with these people? Are you being a human being? Because I think karma is a big piece of this episode, which is this idea of like, are you trying to do the right thing for the right reasons? And are you being the good guys? Are you the good guys or are you the bad guys?
Yeah.
Because if you've been good guy shit and you've been good guy in it all along, and you can have, we know a lot of gyms that we have worked with who have really good relationships with other gym owners in their communities, which I think is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the goal of coming together and having a community-wide goal of trying to help people, and people just, and it's honoring that idea again of that client journey, that huge fitness journey that someone takes lifetime wise, of respecting the fact that, hey, they're going to go over to the CrossFit spot. They're going to do this over here. Maybe these people have something over here that's different. And we're going to respect the idea that people will bounce from one thing to the other. And the world's just too small. It's too small. And your communities are too small to just start burning fucking bridges every time something goes wrong or you lose somebody or they go to a competitor.
I know people currently in a small, not terribly fit market, right, that have multiple gym memberships and use them both and attend both.
Sure.
They do multiple types of fitness, have CrossFit memberships as well as global gym memberships. Also have private gyms. We have people that go to like strength gyms and then also have global gym memberships. Like, it's totally okay. And I think that is an evolution of, I think there is a kind of like the way streaming services.
Sure.
One of them can't always take up all the space. It was great when Netflix seemed to have everything. But now all the studios like, well, we got our money from Netflix, let's sell this one to HBO. So there's the same pool of content is now getting split up between 5 streaming services, and I feel like I'm just getting extorted to have the same amount of things that I can watch. Right. But in regards to fitness, like, I think people are okay with that. There's a Disney Plus has some different shit. They got the Marvel stuff and whatever else, and then if you want to watch Apple TV Plus, like, they got much better original series than probably any of the other ones combined. And so that's worth it for me to choose to do both. It's, people can treat fitness and training like, unless you're fucking flat broke and we're fighting over your last dollars that you could possibly spend on fitness, there's no reason that someone who goes somewhere else can't also participate in some of your services, as long as you have enough, and as long as you're able to cover more space in their lifetime fitness journey. So so don't close. That's, I guess, what we're saying. Be better. Don't go out of business. It's a cautionary tale. But yeah.
And if you're going out of business, don't fucking call us.
Yeah.
Do not come talk to us. If you're going out of business,
we're not your last ditch shit. It's too late, dude. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. If your heart's not in it, don't call us. I'm not going to talk you into it. And I'm not going to talk you out of it either. That's the worst. I've sat talking to gym owners. I'm just in my head. I'm like, you should just quit. Just quit. What are you doing? Why are you doing this? You're not even doing anything. What are you doing? You don't care. You don't want to do this. This is such a burden for you. You hate this. You can see the look in your eye. It wasn't what you hoped it would be. And so maybe that's half of my line of work, is just telling people to give up. I don't know. Give it to someone who cares. That's all. The people, our revolution it's for gym owners, but it's just for the people. This is for the people on the ground. And so, like, if you're not in it, you're not fucking helping anybody. You're just taking up space. So be one of the good ones. Thanks for listening, everybody. Follow all the shit. Links in the show notes. We'll see you later.